At 2:17 in the morning, someone tried to open his door. He was alone on a small island off the coast of Maine. No neighbors. No nearby houses. No cars. Just ocean. The handle turned once. Then again. Then a man's voice spoke through the wood. Calm. Certain. I know you're in there. And then he said his full name. He had told no one he was coming. This wasn't the only forbidden island where something was already waiting. There are places that look peaceful on a map. Small coastal islands. Quiet rentals. Weekend escapes advertised as private and isolated. But isolation doesn't always mean empty. Sometimes it means unwitnessed. The islands sat off the coast of Maine. Tourists visited during the day. By sunset, most boarded the ferry back to the mainland. After dark, it was almost deserted. The man who booked the cottage was 22. Burned out. Mentally exhausted. Trying to disappear for a few days. A coworker mentioned the island casually. Hardly anyone stays overnight. That sounded perfect. He booked a small shoreline cottage. Cheap. Suspiciously cheap if he had been thinking clearly. The cottage was minimal. One room. Small bathroom. Unused kitchenette. Dense brush pressed in from 3 sides. The ocean stretched endlessly beyond the front window. 2 details felt wrong. The outlets didn't work. And the deadbolt and chain lock were brand new. Polished metal on old weathered wood. That didn't fit. He ignored it. That evening was normal. He explored. Watched visitors leave. Ate at a small pub near the ferry dock. When he mentioned where he was staying, the bartender hesitated. Just for a second. Then smiled and changed the subject. On the walk back, he passed a small dock hidden inside a cave formation. One boat sat there. Small. Blue. Fast. Not a fishing vessel. It didn't belong. By 10:30 p.m., the island was silent. Deadbolt locked. Chain secured. Phone dying. No working outlets. He fell asleep quickly. And woke up instantly. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. Crunching gravel outside the cottage. Not passing by. Approaching. Each step paused, like whoever was outside was listening for movement inside. The footsteps stopped at the door. Silence. Then a flashlight beam cut through the thin curtain. The handle turned. Once. Twice. The deadbolt held. Silence again. Then violent pounding. And through it. I know you're in there. He stopped breathing. Then the voice said his name. Full. The fear wasn't just physical. It was informational. How do you know someone's name on an island where no one knows they are staying? The pounding stopped. Footsteps circled the cottage slowly. Not rushed. Not chaotic. Deliberate. After several minutes, the footsteps retreated toward the dock. Moments later, an outboard motor started. The small blue boat disappeared into the dark water. At sunrise, boot prints confirmed everything. From dock to cottage. Back to dock. Direct. Intentional. Someone came by water. Specifically for him. If you search for the most abandoned islands in the world, Hashima Island appears immediately. A mass of concrete rising from the sea near Nagasaki, Japan. Once one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Coal mining sustained it. When the coal industry collapsed in 1974, the island emptied almost overnight. Today, it is partially restricted. Tourists walk controlled paths. The interior buildings are off-limits. But years ago, a structural engineer received rare academic access. He arrived with an escort. The rules were clear. Stay within sight. Touch nothing marked in red. Do not separate. For 2 hours, everything was routine. Then he noticed something wrong. Dust coated the floors, thick, undisturbed layers from decades of abandonment. Except for one narrow path. A slightly disturbed line cutting down a hallway toward a room at the end. Not fresh, but walked often enough that dust never fully settled. He followed it. When he opened the door, 2 things hit him at once. A smell, unfamiliar and impossible to identify. And the wall. When he pressed his hand against it, it was warm. Not mildly warm. Warm like heat was transferring from the other side. In a building abandoned for 50 years. He reported it. The escort said it was impossible. Later, in another building, he found blankets arranged in a corner. Empty water bottles. Recent. Used. He turned to call the escort. Gone. Moments later, rubble partially blocked the stairwell. Then footsteps echoed above and below him. Multiple. Moving with coordination. He ran. Reached the dock. The escort stood there calmly, as if nothing had happened. Within weeks of returning home, the professor who arranged his permit disappeared from contact. No emails returned. No explanation. Gone. North Brother Island sits in the East River between the Bronx and Rikers Island. Visible from shore. Legally restricted. Once a quarantine hospital. Later a rehabilitation facility. Now swallowed by vegetation. A history student researching abandoned institutional spaces decided to visit. He and two friends kayaked there at 2:30 a.m. The moment they landed, the atmosphere changed. New York City noise vanished. The island absorbed sound. They explored carefully. Eventually, they separated briefly. The student walked alone down a hospital corridor. Then he heard Jesse's voice, calling his name. Clear. Calm. Jesse was supposed to be elsewhere. He followed it. Another voice. Jansen. In here. He stepped into the room. In the corner stood a tall figure. Facing the wall. Unmoving. At least 6.5 feet tall. Neither friend was that height. He ran. They regrouped. Fled toward the shoreline. As they dragged their kayaks into the water, a woman's voice echoed from the ruins. Old. Moaning. Watching them leave. Later, they compared timelines. Jesse had never left Jansen's side. The first voice had been perfect. Exact tone. Exact cadence. Whatever was there had listened long enough to replicate it convincingly. 3 different forbidden islands. 3 separate people. 3 restricted locations. And in each case, someone was already there. The Maine island required arrival by boat. Hashima showed repeated internal movement. North Brother demonstrated voice mimicry. Isolation does not mean empty. It means unwitnessed. The islands are still there. The docks still exist. The corridors are still standing. And if you ever find yourself somewhere that feels too quiet, ask yourself one question. Is it empty? Or are you just the last one to realize you're not alone?